And welcome back to the show. President Obama's own party is blocking his efforts to get approval on a new trade agreement. In a stinging defeat for the White House, all but one Democrat in the Senate voted against a measure that would allow debate on the Pacific Trade Pact. The move casts doubt on the president's attempt to complete a 12-nation Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP, but the White House still putting on a brave face, calling the setback a legislative snafu.
The legislation that currently is that has been passed through the Senate Finance Committee is anything but simple and straightforward. I think anybody would acknowledge this is complicated, but the president believes that it doesn't give him the authority that's necessary to complete the deal and to enforce it, and that's why he has been strongly encouraging Democrats to support.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell pushed for approval of the vote and called the defeat shocking.
So there's every reason to knock down more unfair international trade barriers and bring more benefits back to Americans right here at home. According to one estimate, Kentucky alone could see thousands more jobs and millions more in economic investment if we enact smart agreements with countries in Europe and in the Pacific.
Now, the defeat is considered a victory for, guess who, Minority Leader Harry Reid, who insists other measures be included.
I don't support these trade provisions, but if the Senate is going to talk about trade, we must consider its impact on American workers and the middle class. And that's what the customs provision does. It's why I support combining these four bills to one piece of legislation so no American worker is left behind by the Senate Republicans.
Probably shouldn't joke about this, but he is actually intimidating with those glasses, don't you think?
The three-blind mice thing is working for Harry.
A bit of a Capone thing going on.
He should have done that right from day one.
Probably, right, or maybe it's intentional. So the administration contends the trade pact is crucial to compete in the global economy and keep jobs here in the U.S. Are we in some sort of bizarro world where Republicans are agreeing with the president and Democrats are his biggest obstacle, Heather Hansen?
Oh, you sure are. I mean, you've got Elizabeth Warren begging to see the text of the agreement, sort of similar to other people begging to see the text of the Iran agreement. You've got Senate Democrat Sherrod Brown criticizing Obama for calling Elizabeth Warren Elizabeth and inferring that that's a sexist comment because he called her by her first name.
What imagine if you called her Lizzie?
This kind of, right, this kind of infighting is definitely bizarro world. And to see Obama on the side of the Republicans, and I do think that the agreement is a good one. It's good for the economy. When 95% of consumers are outside of the U.S., why lock them out of the equation? But to see President Obama supporting it is definitely a surprise to me.
Rick, in terms of the president, does this mean he's lost some juice on the Hill?
He seems to have found some juice on the Hill. I mean, all of a sudden the Republicans are backing him. Look, this is the craziest thing ever. I have no idea if I'm for this or against this for a really simple reason. I'm not allowed to see it.
Right.
I don't know what's in it. You know what I do know is that if the legislation that failed today, which would have granted the authority to fast track this, if it had gone through, I would have had to have read this trade agreement, 4,000 pages in about 1 week. So God bless them for not passing this through. Look, what this really comes down to is the Democrats think this is going to be another NAFTA, and they blame NAFTA, either rightly or wrongly, because it's not all that clear. They blame NAFTA for the job exodus that took place in the 90s. So they're afraid this is going to happen.
And which president was behind NAFTA?
Bill Clinton. What was I say? Jimmy. I default. I want to blame everything on Jimmy Carter.
I'm with you.
But it is correct when the president says, and as you just said, 95% of our customers are outside the country. We're letting them make the rules. But you know what? I can't give you an opinion until somebody will let me read the damn agreement.
Look, I do find it funny that we're talking about what we can't read, because didn't we have the same conversation around the Affordable Care Act? So I think it turns out that
no, but we could read that. I read that all the way
through. But most people didn't, and we know most people voting on it didn't. So I think it's funny. It turns out it's a Rorschach test. If you want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't.
Okay, let's get to our other topic. Carly Fiorina, the first Republican woman to announce her candidacy in the 2016 race, has touted her experience as CEO of Hewlett Packard as making her uniquely qualified to handle the economy. But there's just one problem. She incurred sizable campaign debts from her 2010 Senate run in California that didn't go so well, and that she didn't pay off until recently. According to the Federal Election Commission, Fiorina owed nearly $500,000 to campaign staffers and consultants. Critics of Fiorina have also questioned her tenure at Hewlett Packard. where 18,000 people were laid off. She defended that record on Meet the Press this weekend.
What people fail to comment on is the fact that we doubled the size of the company. We took the growth rate from 2% to 9%. We tripled the rate of innovation to 11 patents a day. We went from lagging behind in every product category to leading in every product category. And yes, in fact, we grew jobs here in the U.S. and all over the world. You can't just leave those facts out because they are as vital to the record as the fact that, yes, indeed, I had to make some tough calls during some tough times that many technology companies didn't survive at all.
Now, Heather, those are some pretty impressive stats that she just threw out, and you could very easily fact check them. They're all true.
Right.
So why does she have this monkey on her back that says, or 10,000-pound gorilla, that says she was a failure at HP?
Well, listen, we saw the same thing with Romney. I mean, when you have people who have lost jobs under your watch, and the economy being what it is, and the situation being what it is with people losing jobs now, it's going to be a problem for her. I've always thought she's not going to win the presidency here. You know, it's more that she's facing the questions as opposed to some of the others.
That's true. Rick?
I don't care about that. What I care about is what we haven't even mentioned, which is she stiffed her employees from her Senate race and her outside consultants and vendors. She didn't pay them. She's owed them money for 4 years. She finally paid them 2 months ago when she decided she was going to run for president. I guess she does understand the American economy, where if you don't feel like you want to write your own check, which she could afford, you simply stiff your employees, and then you run for president.
Well, it certainly will be a problem, because this will come up again saying, what, you couldn't even pay your own employees, and you've laid off 18,000 at HP? Could be a problem. Anyway, coming up next, Christianity and sharp decline. We talk about it. Don't go anywhere.